Hey, I'm already out of breath and I haven't even started this fucking video. Have a new update video for you. I shot this yesterday, but it's way too long. Shot it on Super Bowl Sunday, and I ended up watching the game, and I was thoroughly pleased. I'm not a Eagles fan, but fly Eagles fly. I'm super happy that Kansas City lost. Feel bad for their fan base and stuff. I'm not gonna rub it in, but enough's enough. After a while, it's just like you don't want to hear any more of that shit. It's like I certainly don't. But I got an update for you. A little bit of everything: CDs, DVDs. Let's get into it. Cassettes first, or CDs, cassettes, and albums. No 7 inches today. And no DVDs. I am gonna talk about DVDs later on though. So let's get into it. The albums are Jesus fucking Christ. The cassettes are as followed: Red Hot Chili Peppers, What Hits. So this is a 1992 release. This one was $5. I thought this was from all their early stuff up to Mother's Milk. It uh, includes Blood Sugar Sex Magic, which personally for me, I'm not a fan of that album. I know a lot of people love it, but I see that on like the list of great albums now. I'm like, it's good, I guess. I mean, when I was a fan of the Chili Peppers, it was always the earlier stuff. So for me, when I had heard that, I was like disappointed. I was just like, yeah, there's some good songs on Blood Sugar Sex Magic, I won't deny, but not a fan of the album. This has a lot of stuff like Higher Ground, Fight Like a Brave, Catholic School Girls Rule. I love that song. Hollywood. Is Fire on here? Their version of Fire is awesome. Knock Me Down. There's some good tracks on here. So yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers probably the only time you'll ever see them on one of my updates. As a fan, I just really find them kind of. I don't know. I've never been a huge fan other than like the '80s shit. So this is a San Francisco band called Deer Tick, and this is the album Actually You Can, which this band, I don't remember where this is at in their discography, but way down in their discography. Uh, they made a shit ton of albums, kind of experimental. They have a female singer who I think she's Asian, or has Asian characteristics, I should say, and she's got such a sweet voice. But this is so weird and trippy, and I don't know what you would call Deer Tick. I took a total chance on this. This one was $7, and I like it. I like it. So Deer Tick, Actually You Can. Two cassettes from the local record store. These three I picked up from Jerk Dogs. Not Jerk Dogs, that was the local record store. These three I picked up from Steelworker Records. The first one is Arcona. Uh, Arc Arcnona. Or no, it's Arcona with Zeta Reticuli. This one was $6. Yeah. If I have time at the end of this, I might show a box set. If I have time permitting. We'll see. We'll see. It's CD box set. Polish black metal, really good lo-fi, as you would expect. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have anything else to say about Arcnona. This is pretty good from what I had heard. This one is a black metal compilation, my first from the Sacrificial Sounds label. This is Culto Mortio Volume 1. And this has a ton of bands on it. Like Elysiac is on this. Canis, Knock, Turupt, Kav, Valor. I've heard of Valor. Empty Gods, Lord Impotent. There it is. I like to show these cassettes off a little bit. Alright, so that is it for that black metal compilation. Really good stuff from what I had heard on this. And this is probably the best thing I had picked up uh, on my visit to Steelworker Records. So this one was 15. I didn't know it was this expensive, but man, it's worth every cent. This is Antichrist with Sacrament of Blood. So this was released back, I think, recorded back in the 90s, and then was recorded again or reissued again back in the 2000s, 2010s maybe. Somebody could tell me if I'm wrong. I don't remember the dates when this was reissued, but it was recorded originally in the 90s by a bunch of 15-year-olds trying to sound evil as fucking. Boy, they fucking do it on this. Super evil sounding death metal. Blackened death metal maybe. I don't know. Black Elements for sure. Amazing death metal. This is some of the best fucking shit I've heard. And you know, I'm not an expert in death metal, but I like what I like. I fucking love this. I fucking loved it. I guess they're part of what's called the Ross Bay Cult, which I think was a bunch of bands that played either in the same area or played on a label. And one of those bands, which was kind of an influence and a mentor, bigger brother, was Blasphemy. So know those guys real well. So enough can't be said about this. This is my high recommend of this post, man. This is fucking amazing. If you like extreme metal, this is so good. I mean, $15. I was a little mad that I spent it, and I was like listening to it, just clips of it, and I'm like, fuck, this is amazing. All right, some CDs. I had a lot more CDs. I'm cutting down what I'm going to show you, but this one's kind of interesting. This is Salif Keita with Full On the Past. So off the Island label from 1996. I'm just going to show that again so you can see Salif Keita and that wonderful hair. This is Afro funk, Afro pop, Afro funk, and it's beautiful music. And there is, I don't know if that's Salif Keita when he was younger or not. Salif Keita maybe. But he is albino, and he's from the country of Mali. So he's Malian descent. And this is just beautiful, awesome Afro beat, Afro pop music. It's so good. So good. The songs on here, Takara is good, but the song called Dakan Fe is beautiful. And it's just shimmering, gorgeous Afro pop, Afro beat shit. It's so good. So, yeah, Salif Keita. This would be right after that Antichrist for like really, really good stuff. I didn't pick up any shit. This is good too. Curtis Mayfield, the tribute. I love 90s tributes, and this one falls in the same sort of vein. I fucking love these like tributes. I have most of them, like the Jimi Hendrix one. When I find them, I buy them, and I had this back in the 90s. This has like, oh God, Glass Knight, Steve Winwood, Lenny Kravitz, Bruce Springsteen, Eric Clapton, Isley Brothers, Branford Marsalis and the Impressions, Rod Stewart, B.B. King, Stevie Wonder, Elton John, and probably my three favorite tracks on here are kind of weird. The first one is just a great joyful pop version of Look Into Your Heart by Whitney Houston. Just a great pop song, pop soul song by Whitney. I'm not a huge fan of her. I like some of her songs, but not a huge fan. The other ones are Tevin Campbell. Yeah, that's right. The Prince prodigy in with Keep On Pushing, which is great. And what's the other one? That fucking surprisingly mundane but beautiful I've Been Trying by Phil Collins. It's awesome. It's subtle in shit, and it's kind of almost boring, but it's just a great track by Phil Collins. Very moody, but I don't know. It was really, really good. There's Curtis Mayfield there. So those two. The one I'll show you I got from Mojo's. I had some other ones, but I'm not going to bore you with those. This is Tesla with Replugged Live. So, Live Tesla. I'm going to try to go through these real quick. This was like a 2001 release. And for some reason, I was thinking of the replugged means guitars, but for some reason, I was thinking of that acoustical jam. But yeah, this is just live. concert footage. They still sound great from the early 2000s. Well, it's got the big hits on here coming back, coming at you live, Easy Come, Easy Go, Love Song, No Way Out. You know, is Little Susie on here? Yeah, Little Susie. I love Lazy Days, Crazy Nights. Good stuff by Tesla. I like Tesla. They're a solid band. And it's just, yeah, nice packaging. So, okay. Akimbo, San Francisco punk, hardcore punk on the Alternative Tentacles later. This is great. Very raunchy, pissed off hardcore punk, which you'll, kind of want. Yeah. Akimbo's they've been around for a while. I think they're from the Bay Area and Jello Biafra, yeah, signed them. So I'm really trying for today's video to be as accurate as possible. Souls of Mischief. Oh, this is so good. 93 Till Infinity. Bay Area based, I think from Oakland maybe. Hip hop from the early 90s, 1993 actually. Kind of reminds me of De La Soul meets Tribe Called Quest. Kind of, they use some jazz samples, but it's super positive. I don't know, like innocent, if you can, it's good stuff. Yeah, this is good stuff. I love some of that 90s rap that wasn't like on the cover, LA Guns, first album by LA Guns. Oh, this is so good. I used to have this on cassette. This is a 1988 release off of Polygram. Not, what do you want me to say about this? So, LA Guns. Great stuff. Naivety in Black. This is so fucking good. I love this. I remember having this on cassette back in the 90s. And this thing is super tasty. It's got Biohazard, White Zombie, Corrosion of Conformity, Sepultura, Faith No More, Ugly Kid Joe, Typo Negative, doing a great version of Black Sabbath. But my favorite track on here, surprisingly, is 10,000 Homo GJ's version of Supernaut. I fucking love that version of this song. They made a Nativity in Black too. This, I guess we're going to 90s compilations today because I do love them so. But yeah, Black Sabbath, good stuff. Like tribute. Yeah, the 10,000 Homo DJ Supernaut is like super like industrial dance. It's fucking awesome. AC/DC 74 Jailbreak. These metal CDs I picked up a while back, but I haven't shown them in a video, and I kept waiting to show them in a video. And finally, I didn't buy as many CDs this time around that I could really show, and I wanted to kind of showcase these. I mean, I got some, but none that like would excite anybody. But yeah, this is great. The earliest incarnation of AC/DC, I think. It's so good. It's got Jailbreak 74 on it. Show Business, is that on here? Yep. Soul Stripper, You Ain't Got a Hold on Me, and then Baby Please Don't Go. This awesome hard rock from the 70s. Yep. With Bond and the Boys. That cover was iconic. This was released in like 1984, and Jailbreak 74 actually got radio airplay, and I always loved that song. It's super intense song. And it's great to hear Bon Scott's vocals on here too. I don't see this 74 around very much on anything. So, oh, this is great. Book of Souls, Iron Maiden. This one was $9. I'm telling you, that day I went in and it was like to Jerk Dog. I got these CDs anyways, the metal stuff from Jerk Dog Records. I went in looking for CDs and I just saw a bunch of good ones in there. And I bought all of them. All the good ones I wanted to get were in there. And instead of buying albums and stuff like that. And I went in this the other day ago to get, albums too, or CDs too, and he didn't have anything in hardly. So I just settled on albums. But I had a lot of like used dollar albums, which I'm not going to bore you with. There's a few in here I'm going to show off as like goofiness, but nothing that's going to be great. But yeah, This is 2017, not that long ago. This was reissued. I forget what tour this was on, but I think it was on, well, obviously the Book of Souls tour, they actually, which is a good record by Iron Maiden. So this is good. All right. We got through most of the CDs. We got one CD box set to show you. I got this for super cheap, but it is a box set. And I was going to show you another one, but I don't know if I'm going to have time. If I have time, I'll show you towards the end of the whole video. I'm not going to stop right now. I'm on a good roll. But this one was like $10 at my local record store, Jerk Dog. And it got priced down to $5. And I had it in my hand like this. And he goes, I'll give it to you for $3. Just get out of my store. And I did. George Formby, England's famed clown princess song. This is 125 slides from one of the chickiest, cheeriest entertainers ever. I think of him as like, there's a close-up so you can see what a goofball he is. I think of this as almost like fucking like, and I think it's a little different, but I think of this, and there's all the tracks. Look at all that shit on there. Look at that. 5 albums, 120 some songs of the great George Formby. But I think of this as like being like sort of comedy rock, like not comedy because I know it's comedy. I think of this as almost like a Spike Jones. You know, he's a musician too. Or Spike Jones was more like had a band. I think they're called the City Slickers. And it's just like comedy from back in the, I think, 50s, 60s. Oh no. This goes back to the 30s. This is 1920s to up to 1939 and then some in the 50s. So this goes back even further. I know that Spike Jones went back to like the 40s. Maybe he went to the 30s too, probably. So maybe these guys were around the same time period. But this is great. George Formby. I mean, this is cool. Old comedy stuff. I mean, for fucking $3, am I going to just say no to that? I'm going to take that all day long. All right, we're getting to the albums now. This is probably the earliest time I made it to the albums. This one, it was $3 and is a 10-inch single called Found All the Parts. And it's by Cheap Trick. And I don't really see a lot of 10-inch singles. There we go. By Cheap Trick. And I just don't see a lot of their singles. Like 10-inch singles is probably the first 10-inch single I've ever seen by them. It comes with a insert. And I don't know, that's this artist I saw in town, Sammy Thrash Life. I'm a fucking artist, guys. And right there on Epic label, this is 1980 release. So yeah, this is I thought these were songs from like maybe what's that album called, Voices? Because it is 1980, but it looks like these songs were recorded earlier. So the song on here, Such a Good Girl, was recorded in December 1974. Take Me, I'm Yours was recorded in 77. Can't Hold On was recorded live in 78 on the Japan tour. And then Day Tripper was recorded live in the US, 79. So a few old tracks and then a few live tracks, like an EP almost. I think that's really cool for $3. I mean, this was maybe one of the better finds of the day. I just got this on Saturday, so pretty good deal for Cheap Trick to get that for that price. All right, so I'm going to show you basically the records I had picked up from Jerk Dog the last few weeks, kind of the highlights of what I picked up, and then I'm going to show you my Tampa haul. Not a ton of local stuff, so you can probably see the bottom already. Yeah, that's fine. This is Synergy. This is Electronic Realizations for Rock Orchestra. If you were gonna guess, this is electronic music, but it has a real like prog sound to it. I mean, it kind of like wails a little bit in the Moog, and then it kind of goes into what I think sounds a little bit like Emerson, Lake and Palmer to me, and it has a little bit of that sort of gritty PFM kind of feel to it, to the Italian band. But this is Synergy is Larry Fast, who was a Moog player, and he did all kinds of electronics. And he actually played on a lot of different artist albums, like Barbra Streisand and John Denver, and also uh, Peter Gabriel played on like 3 or 4 of his albums, or did the electronic arrangements on those albums. So yeah, I think it's okay. I've heard some other Synergy stuff. I really like this group, but this is considered like Synergy's masterpiece, and I guess maybe I need to hear it more often because I just heard like, in my mind, I heard like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So maybe I just need to give it more of a shot. White Nights, the soundtrack. You have no right to speak to me that way. Or that song, White Nights, or Separate Lives, sorry. A song with Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin is on here. The travesty on this soundtrack, and if you guys remember this one from the 80s, the travesty on this, soundtrack, and this is a travesty in my opinion, is No Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie. But when it comes to 80s soundtracks, especially soundtracks with original or with artist, not the score but the soundtrack with artist, those are like my favorite ones to get. Sorry, I'm gonna just pad my elbow a little bit here. And this one is just total 80s excess cheese, and I love these albums. So anytime I find them, I pick them up, and they're usually like $2, $3. They're usually fairly cheap when I can get the 80s soundtrack. So this is awesome. It's got Separate Lives by Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin, David Pack from Ambrosia doing Prove Me Wrong. John Hyatt doing Snake Charmer. Is that the song he does on here? Yep. Lou Reed going so 80s, it's ridiculous, with a song called My Love Is Chemical. Tons of keyboards on that song. I fucking love it. And maybe the surprise track on here, a fucking fantastic song. And I almost want to say that this is, at least to me, on the level of anything she did in Rufus. And that's Shaka Khan, and she has a song called The Other Side of the World. It's fucking awesome. It's just a great like soul pop song, and it's right up there with like I Feel For You, as far as, to me anyways. But this movie, when it came out when I was a kid, it was like such a big deal, you know. And like I said, I love 80s soundtracks, and it's on this wonderful Atlantic label. Yeah, awesome stuff. The movie, though, I mean, you remember, like, if you remember, if you're old enough, like, was like this huge Hollywood movie. And I remember it when I was a little kid, and I was so intrigued by it. And I think I was only really intrigued by the fact that it looked so big. And I was poor growing up, so Hollywood movies were like something way over my head. I was like, that's almost unattainable. I mean, we went to the movies. We started going a lot more when we got older, but when we were little kids, like, it was a treat to go to a movie. And sometimes we wouldn't go for years, you know, depending on if we had the money or not. Yeah, it would be year gaps. So when this came out, I remember seeing the trailer and remember the songs. Separate Lives and of course Say You Say Me were the big singles off this, and this was always like, I'd love to go see this, even though I didn't know what it was about or if I had any interest in it. It was just more like, I think, the bigness of it, because they had like, if you remember the trailer, it had like, you know, it looks like this big Hollywood spectacle. All right, Julian Lennon. This is Mr. Jordan. Interesting record by Julian Lennon, his third album. And I know it's like, well, why are you showing Julian Lennon? Because I think he's a pretty good artist, and I think if one thing is, the two things that kind of are his downfall are, one, he's John's son, so no one's going to really take him seriously, unfortunately. And I don't mean that people don't take him seriously. I just think that's a hell of a shadow to be under. And the second thing, and the second thing is he has the same pop. He is infected by the same pop bite his dad had, and so like to me, when the first album came out, it was just kind of a nice diverse pop album, and then he went to the Secret Value of Daydreaming. I think that was his second album, more abstract, a more psychedelic kind of art rock record, and then he goes to this, which I just love this cover. And the back is gorgeous too, which is kind of almost him doing a straight out rock record, And there's a few really good tracks on here. You're the One, Now You're in Heaven are really, really good songs. But this has like a late 80s rock feel. And I'm not talking college rock, and it's not hair metal or anything like that. It's just rock. And there's just some good guitars on here that you could hear kicking up a little bit in this album. So I think this is a very I think this is a very interesting album by Julian Lennon. I've heard some of his later albums, and I thought they were really good. It's funny how I just find this stuff real cheap, so I buy it, and that's the only reason I really ever gotten into them. Yeah, wow, Bob Dylan, Infidels. So 1983 album. To me, his finest hour in the 80s. And there were some great records like Saved. I know a lot of people shit on that record. It's a good record in my opinion. Shot of Love, I love that record. Another record that gets shit upon. And probably for a lot of people, their favorite record by him is Empire Burlesque. But to me, this one right here for me is my favorite by him. This was right when I found out who Bob Dylan was. I heard that Everybody Must Get Stoned song and All Along the Watchtower and some of those other older songs by him. And I liked it. And then I heard a few tracks on this album were played on the radio. I used to listen to a radio show called The Top 5 at 5, which was awesome. And I listened to it every day because it was Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock to 5:30. They would have the top 5 songs, or 5 to 5:20 maybe. And they were always like rock songs, some borderline on heavy metal, some of it borderline on just being pop rock maybe, but it stayed in there. And it was a few songs on that were played, and those include Neighborhood Bully and the great Sweetheart Like You. And that's why this album's kind of stuck to me, is something I've always kind of wanted to get by him and finally was able to get. Joker Man is great on here. Too. And a lot of people say the end of the album sucks, but the end of the album is great, I think, with especially the song I and I. And you could hear like Mark Knopfler playing on this album, and it sounds so good. And so I don't know if Knopfler plays throughout the album. I know he plays on that song. I'm sure he probably does play on the whole album, but I don't know enough about that on the Columbia label. But yeah, look no further than this is a great record by him, in my opinion, of course. And I even like that Dylan and the Dead record. Are you kidding me? I love that record. And that thing's kind of flat, but I like it anyways. It's funny because with the Grateful Dead, I always like their like later shit. Like In the Dark, and what was that, Safety at Last, that album, I think, the one that came after. Is that the name of that one? Built to Last? Built to Last. Alright, this next one. Challenging for me, I will say. Challenging for me is Kate Bush, Lionheart. This is an Italian promo that came out in '78. And this one was $15. I just got this one this weekend. It's got some water damage to it, you can see. But whatever on EMI. I like Kate Bush. I liked her when I was a kid, and I like her still now. However, when I say that, I feel like with her voice, especially the earlier it was, which I think the earlier albums I love, like Kick Against the Pricks and this, and was it Never Forever, and there's a few other ones. Is it Dreaming or Dreamtime or whatever? I've been looking for all those albums. But as I listen to this or listen to parts of this, it is really challenging because her voice is not, it doesn't have like the sort of control that it would need. So it kind of sounds like a little kid's voice, and I'm gonna talk about that more in a minute. But the thing that makes her great, in my opinion, and why I like her even more than like a Bjork, is because she has like a childhood like aspect to her, and she's very, there's just something very childish in her nature, and I can relate to that a lot more than I can relate to like that sort of abstract art universe that Bjork's on. And I don't even know if I should even be comparing the two, but I kind of always do in my head for some reason. I mean, probably Tori Amos would be probably the more applicable one to compare, but I've not really listened to Tori Amos music, so, or Joanna Newsom maybe, but maybe I don't know. But anyways, yeah, her voice is just so rough on these earlier albums. It almost like feels like it's sped up. But I like Kate Bush a lot, and the song on here, Hammer Whore, bueno, one of my favorite earlier songs of hers. So good. And then there's a song on here called uh, My Lionheart, Oh England, I think is the name of it. Very patriotic. I guess I'm gonna have to look and see. Oh England, My Lionheart. Oh England, My Lionheart is the name of that song. And In Search for Peter Pan is absolutely ridiculous. But that sort of like her yearning for this childhood thing really appeals to me. It just does, and that's why I like her. It's hard for me to, because it's not. This is not stuff I listen to a ton, but I certainly like Kate Bush. So this was well worth the $15 I paid for it. And like I said, it's an Italian import. If I didn't say that before, I'm saying it now. So be running up that road. All right, two bigger records. I'm almost done with these. And these are by the same artist. This is their second album and sort of a growing up album for this band. That Can Dance. Spleen. Spleen and Ideal. Spleen and Ideal. I think this is 1985 release on the 4AD label. I've been buying Dead Can Dance stuff. You've probably seen my videos. If you watched my videos, you've seen that I've been reviewing a lot of their stuff. Uh, it's been cheap, and I've been on this thing now lately where like if I can find all the a band's shit and it's only costing me $21, I'm going to get it. So I think there's one more album I gotta get by them, and I'm pretty much that's available, and I'm pretty much caught up on my Dead Can Dance. I have their first 5 records now on vinyl, so I mean that's pretty good. So this one is kind of like they're getting into that sort of religious sort of choral music that they do, that sacred choral mysticism stuff or whatever you want to call it. They do. There's some great songs on here. De Profundis and Ascension is great. A rock track in here. That's right. Where I hear actually guitar and drums as a song called Avatar, which is terrific. And yeah, so this is the beginning of that sort of like what Dead Can Dance got to be known for. Very intense. And they had fucking awesome covers, man, for sure. Yeah, it's a band I'm starting to like more and more and more. And this is their maybe masterwork album for some people, Serpent's Egg. So this came out, I think, in the late 80s, 88 or 89. I think 89 or 88. I can't remember which year. Their fourth studio album, and a gem of an album. Tell me if I'm wrong on that, but I think I'm right. Uh, this has got maybe what's considered to be Dead Can Dance masterpiece, song called Host of Seraphim, which is gorgeous. And there's a few other good songs on here. The One-Eyed Are Kings, Mother Tongue, the epic Ulysses is great on here, Echolalia, Chant of the Paladin. So at this point, they sort of have scoped out this like you know, like almost like religious kind of spiritual music sound into sounding more like a soundtrack. Almost like what Philip Glass was doing, like those scores to Pawakatsi in those movies, Pawayakatsi or whatever those movies are. You know, when he was doing more, it's not in the same vein, but like that his music had gotten to a point where he can compose for film. And now at this point, Dead Can Dance can definitely do it. Can definitely do it at this point. I mean, what a sort of a career trajectory this band was on. I mean, when they first started out, just 4 or 5 years prior, they were a gothic rock band. Their first album, I think that self-titled album is so good. And that's total like a gothic rock thing. And then they really, with Spleen and Ideal, they sort of changed their sound. And by now they've sort of like sharpened their sound so much so that it's adding elements of like sort of this, when you hear it, you're getting this, instead of an intense listening experience, you're getting this sort of like imaginative thing where you're starting to imagine in shapes and symbols and colors and pictures and stuff with their music. I mean, so this to me is like composer music, film composer music, even if they're not trying to do that. So kudos to Dead Can Dance. What a great fucking band. Kudos to this band. Fucking awesome. And last thing I picked up, which you guys probably saw from a Jerk Dog, I got it this weekend, is the first album from the great Judge. And this is Bringing It Down, y'all. So, yeah, I couldn't help myself off of Revelation Records. I needed some hardcore, and I got some. Yeah, I mean, a little too metal for some bands. And this to me is hardcore, but this to me also is fucking great, what I would call crossover too. Like right there with like sort of like uh right there for what you would see as like sort of like um you know, like stormtroopers of death and stuff like that. At least in my mind, I'm hearing it as being crossover, and I could be wrong. But I listened to this whole album, like 22 minutes long or something like that. It's so good. I love that old like sort of like metal punk, you know, sort of combination. I love the attitude and the brashness of it and the anger, and the whole thing is just so much fun for me. I hear this now and I don't get riled up or anything. I just have an appreciation for the energy and the sort of intensity these bands have. You know, somebody was like saying, well, if you listen to metal music or punk music, it just riles you up or gets you angry. It's like, fuck no, it makes me appreciative of that they can do it, you know. Because I can't do punk like that. I've done some punk songs in my old band, and it sounded nothing like great hardcore or any punk or even great punk. And I was like, I can't do it, but I sure fucking appreciate it. All right, so these next three or four were all from Mojo Books and Records, and I got all these in trade. And what I traded in was better than what I got in return because I got some CDs too. But I'm not complaining. I got them out of my collection. This is Scott Wilkes in the Walls, self-titled album from 1980 on Warner Brothers. There's back there, and you're already probably getting an idea what you're thinking here. The interesting thing on this album, and this is just on black, so I'm not gonna bother pulling it out. And there's not like even, well, I guess you can see the lyrics in the picture of this guy. God damn it! Now I'm going to have to show it. White label. So the interesting thing about this is produced by Scott Wilkes and Michael Omartian. And if you guys know Michael Omartian, he was a soft rock sort of guru in the early 80s. I think he played, and I don't know if he produced, but he played on that first Christopher Cross album. I thought he might have produced it, but he might not have. But he did like some stuff with Chicago too, I think, and Stephen Bishop maybe. And here he is doing what I think is some really interesting, along with Scott Wilkes, doing some really interesting sort of Elvis Costello worship, and that's what you hear when you hear this. The first thing you hear is, "Holy shit!" It reminds me of Elvis Costello. I think it rocks a little harder, at least on some of the songs, anyways, than Elvis Costello. But this is like Armed Forces era Elvis Costello, for sure. There's like a worship there of this, I think, or maybe even to an extent this year's model, maybe. But this punchy sort of new wave. Um, I don't know if I would consider it power pop. You know, I mean, really, this really is like fucking Elvis Costello worship, and that it's not meant as bad. There's some good songs on here. Victim of Circumstance, Suspicion. What's that song? Instant This, Instant That. The Great Familiarity Breeds Mutation. So this is great. So. Son of Spirit. Son of Spirit by the band Spirit. This is going back to 1975. And man, sometimes I think this band could do no fucking wrong. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is like fucking them doing Firefall. It's a soft rock, kind of a soft psychedelic thing. And more Firefall in the softness part of it, but not the psych. But, you know, it's just like this band was so fucking good that it's like they can almost do any style and make it compelling. And here is another case, at least in my opinion, of them doing that. This is so fucking good. Very mellow yarn here. Magic Fairy Princess is kind of a song you would expect from Spirit, but they do, what was it, Yesterday, the Beatles song, which is strange sounding. Looking into Darkness is great on here. Holy Man. My favorite two tracks on here are these like really sublimely, beautifully psych pop songs. Maybe You'll Find and Don't Go Away. I love both those songs. And Randy California, man, this dude is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So yeah, Son of Spirit. All right. Neil Young, Journey Through the Past. Soundtrack from the movie, I guess, that Neil Young directed. Lots of Neil Young songs on here, including Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, Buffalo Springfield, and there's some classical music on here too. I think there's a version of Handel's Messiah on here. So really, really cool stuff. Yeah, it's definitely mellow at parts of this. Well, I'm a Neil Young completist, so I will snag that. I love that cover. One of my favorite covers in the back of that. I'm not gonna pull this out, but this one was $7, so I decided to take a chance on it. So Neil Young, Journey Through the Past. All right, and the last thing I picked up from Mojo Books and Records. This was the last thing, besides, you know, the Neil Young and the Spirit and the Scotty Wilkes record, was this. And this one was $10, but, and the only classical one I'm going to show you, I won't bore you too much with this, but Eric Satie, that's right, piano music and orchestral music and piano music. Yeah. So, you know, this is like, he's known for these little like melancholic, dramatically but plaintive piano pieces that can be somber and beautiful at the same time. And I find with Eric Satie that it's kind of an acquired taste. There's a richness in sort of the music and in the notes and stuff, but like, to me, it's so like almost pretentious that I can't fucking stand it. And so I'm on the like sort of, I don't know what to think of this guy. Like, Messiah stuff to me is a little bit more like absorbable than this, but at the same time, Eric Satie is such a kind of like avant-garde household name for classical music that. There's the back too. This is a 3-album set. I'm not going to pull these out. But yeah, he's such a household name, and I'm sure all these hipsters love him too. But I decided to take a chance on it. I'm going to give it a listen and see if I like it. Um, yeah, one of the great French composers of his time for sure. But probably the orchestral stuff he did, I like a little bit more. But he's really known for like sort of the melancholic and whatever, deeply probing piano music. So yeah, I'm like sort of. All right, we're getting closer to being done. These were all. I'm going to show you one album at the end that I got from my local record store as an add-on, but everything up to the last album I picked up from Steelworkers. And I'm going to try to, for now on, show you guys, if I can help it, one album, if I can find one, that is so stupid looking that I'm going to show it as like tribute. And this one was $1 at Steelworker Records. And I decided to get it anyways. But like the first two are like absolutely ridiculous. But this one, you just look at the cover. This is Chalice, with, what's the name of the album? Sojourning by Chalice. 1978 release off of the Star Song label. Okay. If, you guys can't see the cover, but it doesn't look like it's raining, so what the fuck does she need that umbrella for? Look at these cheese sticks. Look at these guys. Fucking ridiculous. It's off the Star Song label, if I didn't say that. Soft rock pop. It's horrible in a way, but sort of enchantingly, idiotically charming in a way too. There's a good song on here, Pilgrims. I kind of like the last track on here, but this is. I was thinking it was like kind of comparable to Starland Vocal Band, that the group that did Afternoon Delight. I don't even know if it's that good. Oh God, yeah. I mean, I just bought it and I started laughing when I bought it, or laughing when I saw it, so I bought it. Like, what the fuck? And then this one, this group is such a fucking headache to me. They're so annoying. And this is Second Chapter of Acts. I think this is their second album in the volume of the book, off the Mirror label from 1975. It's California Trio. There they are, these doofuses. These guys are absolutely a headache for a band. A Christian trio. And this is the sort of Jesus music that gives Jesus a bad name. Gee, my God. It is so annoying. Their harmonies are annoying. If you listen to Manhattan Transfer and you think those harmonies can be annoying, and they can be to me anyways, like, this is worse than that. This is so unsufferable to me. And these guys are so self-deprecating that it kind of ruins their career. They're just atrociously annoying in a way, to themselves even, probably. But I really thought I'd give this thing a shot, and I kind of wish I wouldn't have. So it's really bad. There is one really good song on here, and it's a rocker called Yahweh. But this, the only reason I showed this is because it got me thinking about this, like, an artist that really fucking, I mean, they could be better. They're not. They're kind of annoying. Like, there's someplace in the vein of, like, something that really aggravates you, like the Manhattan Transfer aggravate me. And so I just wanted to show it, just to bitch about it, really, more than anything. Like I said, there is potential here, but I don't know if they ever fulfilled it. The first album I ever heard by those dimwits was like, I picked up, it was like from the late 80s, and it was so bad that it made me angry, and I thought I'd never take a chance on them again. All right, 2 more albums to show you. You know what, I'll just show this since we're staying in the 70s. One of the best covers I'll ever show you guys. This is Johnny Davis. This is Johnny Davis and the Monster Orchestra with Up Jump the Devil. This is such a great cover off the Sam label from 1977. And so the best way to describe this would be the honest way to describe this: light disco. So what I mean is, this has that disco beat, that classic disco soul sound with some funk elements in it. And every time you think the funk is going to come back, it does not. And it's aggravating beyond fucking belief. Because you're like, come on, stay on that funk line. And then they bring it back into the disco world. So it's disco light. So, but the song Up Jump the Devil is probably the funkiest song on here. The song, The Magic Is You, is terrific. That's straight up disco magic right there. It's a great song. But yeah, look at that fucking cover, and look at the back of this too. We're holding that tail. Holy shit, that's hot. Yeah, I'm gonna start showing some schlock on here just for entertainment, and this one to me is kind of schlock too. Independent Woman, Destiny's Child. This is the 12-inch single from the Charlie's Angels soundtrack. So this is going back to early 2000. This has our Independent Man remix, album version, instrumental version, the Victor Calderone club mix, and the Victor Calderone drum club mix. So 5 different versions of Independent Woman. And the song's pretty catchy. I thought Destiny's Child was okay when they came out. They had some sass to them. You could see Beyonce there. And when she was on the Grammys, we were all like going, holy fuck, this woman's going to be a star. She needs to get rid of the other people and start her own shit. And she did. The rest is history. And of course, I wasn't the only one thinking that. I mean, I think a lot of people thought that. But I remember seeing them on the Grammys. I was like, holy shit, she just needs to fucking fly solo and she can be good. I forget where this band's from, but this is some great hardcore from the probably 90s. Intensity with The Ruins of Our Future. And I don't know what year this came out, but like I said, it's on the Deranged label. I'm pretty sure I said that. That's a pretty good label out of Canada. Yeah, it doesn't have the year on it. But I'm going to say I think this is late 90s, early 2000s, hardcore. It's $3. I couldn't go wrong with that for $3, you know. Yeah, that's it. I don't got anything else because I haven't really listened to this up close and personal yet. So some of this music I barely listen to. So I'll definitely give this a spin. This one I picked up too for $3 there. It was a great deal on there. It's Bebop Deluxe with Live in the Bell Rage. This is such a great Bebop Deluxe album. I just love this album. Live in the Air Age. Why do I say Bell Rage? I always say that with this song, but this was a record store day release. 2 inserts and 2 albums, but not a gatefold album. So, you know, this is where like Bill Nelson is like that exquisite guitar work of his kind of comes to play. I love this album. Probably my favorite album by them, maybe. Even though it's a live album. But Bill Nelson's guitar work is so beautiful and awesome, you know. And Bebop Deluxe were always one of those hard bands to describe, but in the end, to me, they're kind of more like an art rock band, more so than anything. Because they had elements of glam and elements of prog and elements of hard rock, and they just kind of like blended it all together. And to me, they're more like an art rock band. So, like Bebop Deluxe. This next one was $4, and this was a great one too. Paola's In a Place Like This. Their first album, Canadian band. Wow, this is fucking really good. I was surprised by how good it was because I'd bought albums by them in the past and they were kind of like not so hot. But this one really bridges the line between what is punk and what is kind of new wave / power pop. And this, to me, is leans more towards punk, but they're not really a punk band, but there's definitely a punk, supercharged punk sound to it. It's so fucking good. I couldn't believe how good this was. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be this good, and it was good off the IRS label. I had to show the IRS label. But yeah, really good. A few songs on here, In a Place Like This. It's a Good Job. Just fucking catchy songs on here. Hot Tonight. Yeah, early 80s, like merging the lines between what's rock anymore, which is pulling between punk and new wave and just being rock too, I guess. I just really tickled to have this. The other Payless I heard was, like I said, way more new wave. Prince Dixon in his Jackson Southernairs. That's right, with there's no excuse not to serve the Lord, not serving the Lord. There's no excuse, none, for not serving the Lord. Off the Alligator label. And I have been swinging out on fucking gospel left and right, and this time I fucking win. Really good fucking soul gospel stuff. Really, really good. A little funk in there every now and then, but just super good. And Prince Dixon was, I think he was an organ, so keyboard organ player slash singer. He's got a really good voice. It's definitely gospel sounding, his voice is, but the music is really good. It varies up. There's a lot of tempo changes, but it's still gospel. But they kind of go bluesy sometimes, and then they stay funk, and they go soul, and then go back in the gospel. So it gives it enough variety to make this way better than what it should be. There's a lot of gospel, to me, sucks. I've swung out on so much fucking gospel. I'm not saying that to be judgmental, but I'm saying that because I bought so much of it, and so much of it has sucked. And all the stuff I bought, and I probably bought in like 30 or 40 records, and I've kept in 2 or 3. I mean, I should give up on it at this point, but I don't. Alice Cooper Live. This is towards the end of his. This one was $4. This is toward the end of his sort of. I would say like fucking alcohol binging. You know, a lot of people think this is a flat set. I really like the guitar work in this with, was it Robert Hunter and was it what I forget his name, but Dick Wagner or Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner are just guitar heroes in this. I like most of the songs in there. I love the cover of Under My Wheels. I love the cover. Or not cover. I love the live version of Under My Wheels and Is It My Body. Sounds great to me. Only real downfall, and I'll say what the critics said, 2-minute version of School's Out. Are you fucking kidding me? 2 minutes of that? That's it? Yeah, I actually agree with that. When I was reading that, the critics were bitching about that. It's like, I'm trying to buy all of Cooper's stuff. I'm getting there. So, Alice Cooper, the Alice Cooper Show. Live album for him. Not his best live album, but it's, you know, it's pretty good. This cheese dick, I get another album by Orion, and this is Sunrise. Jesus Christ. 1979. This guy's such a cheese dick. So cheesy, and I love it. He's claim to fame is he sounds like Elvis, and god damn it, he sounds like Elvis. I shit you not. He does, and everybody knows it that's heard him, knows he sounds like Elvis. So, yeah. I got nothing on this. This is fucking cheesy. Like, I like Orion. It's like 50s. It's like 50s. He wants to be 50s rock and roll like Elvis, but it sounds like 70s Elvis. And some of it is just bloated down country, soft rock. Somewhat rock. He does a nice cover. You can't judge a book on here, and the old Willie Dixon song. Nice, isn't this a lot of fun? But Stranger in My Place is total Elvis balladry there, and that song was co-written by Kenny fucking Rogers. So yes, fucking Orion. His claim to fame is like he sounds like Elvis. And the reason he wears the mask, if I haven't said this before, is because he wants to protect his anonymity. Him being anonymous. Sorry, I can't even say the word. So that's why he wears the fucking mask. Are you fucking kidding me? Like anybody knows who he is. He's such a cheese dick. I fucking love it. You know. And it's tragic that he ended up getting killed in a robbery. He owned a pawn shop, and him and his wife got shot during a robbery in their pawn shop back, I think, in 1987. 3 albums left, guys, and we're done. We were talking about Randy California earlier. Here's some more Randy California here. This is awesome. Carter, Captain Copter and the Fabulous Twirlybirds, Randy California. Of course, from Spirit. What a fucking great record. This is like acid drenched psychedelia, and it kind of dabbles. Its primary influence is Jimi Hendrix, in my opinion, but it kind of dabbles between that in like, for weirdness sakes, Captain Beefheart and Frank Zappa, and for heaviness, and not quite metal, but for heaviness, almost that sort of with the distortion, almost like a blue cheer. Um, this is great. This is like, okay, I said Blaster. What was that? Antichrist was the best thing I might have gotten. Now this is right up there too. This is so fucking good. It does a few covers of the Beatles. Rain, I think he does, and Day Tripper. Does a bizarre cover of Mother and Child Reunion, the old Paul Simon song. The first song on here is badass song called Downer is terrific. This is just great. Great. And so what happened was the owner of the store was putting this up on a shelf. And he goes, "Have you heard this?" And I go, "No." He goes, "Dude." He just handed it to me. He's like, "Yeah, Downer. And he just kept saying that. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll get it. $15, why not?" And the last thing I picked up from Steelworkers is an album, and this one was $27, but it is something that's right up my alley. This is a band called Die, DAI, and the album is called The Advent. So this is the back of the album off of the Nuclear War Now label. I guess this was recorded back in 1993, but the bonus tracks were recorded as early as 1990, 91, maybe? Yeah, 90, 91 rare studio tracks included with the album. Fucking awesome. So Die is considered death metal, but they're part of that like Czech metal scene, and it's sort of more like death metal done European style, which means there's some doom elements, there's some thrashy, like sort of, or noisy sort of like black metal stuff. Like there's something very unique about this Czech metal scene, including bands like Root, I believe, and Metal Hammer. Is it Metal Hammers? Is I'm thinking of? I think it is Metal Hammer. Who I've been looking for their stuff for a while. Really, really good fucking metal. Just period. It's just so interesting the way their take on metal is with like changing the tempo and almost sound like doom, but leaving the death, and then changing to almost like a traditional metal sound and having like a Merciful Fate influence, and then going into like a Sepultura or early Death with the death metal vocals. It's just all over the place, and it's terrific. And the last thing I'll show you, and I just wanted to have time to show one more thing. I'm going to start doing this. This one I got for $30, but I got it as part of a Christmas present, and I was so happy to get it. This was a while ago, but I figured I'd show one more. This is Pleasure to Kill by Creator, and this is just such good thrash metal by the German stalwarts Creator. I always liked Creator over like Sodom. I like Sodom and Destruction. There was something more like venomous and faster and just more, I don't know, than those bands. Although Sodom is great too, and you know Tankard is great as well for other reasons. But yeah, Pleasure to Kill. This is pretty fucking cool to have. Yeah, there's something about Creator that's just like bang, and they just keep going. There's just something real fast and invigorating about what they're doing. I really, really like the band. So I would say they're shit. I don't remember where this stands in studio, but this was a 2021 reissue by Sanctuary Records, but it was part of the Noise label. And that's it. So this is an hour long, hour and 4 minutes, almost hour and 5 minutes. But I shot a video before this was an hour and 15 minutes. I'm like, I can't have these super long videos just because I get tired of after the first hour. So that's going to be it. I was going to show you a box set, but I think I'll just show that last time, like another CD box set, but I don't want to show that at the end. My next update will be probably a movie update, which I haven't done in a while. I've got a ton of movies I'd like to show, and I've been watching them pretty prolifically, so I should be able to give you a pretty decent review or what I think about it or premise or whatever if you hadn't heard of it. Most of these guys have probably heard of. But yeah, I'll be doing that, and that'll be it for a while because I'll be saving money as I'm going to England. Probably sometime in either March or April. The sooner, the better. I can't wait to get over there because I'm going to go music shopping over there. And when I bring that back, that's going to be probably a two-parter where I do part one and part two because I'm going to have so much shit to show. That much, I'm pretty sure of it. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.